A rat once starved to death with food sitting right in front of it. And the reason why it happened completely changed the way we think of addiction. You would probably assume that something went wrong. Maybe the experiment was flawed. Maybe the animal was injured. Maybe it just couldn't eat. But that's not what happened. In 1974, scientists discovered something unexpected. They didn't remove hunger. They didn't remove the ability to eat. They removed dopamine. You might assume that the explanation is simple, that the rat stopped because it was hungry, weak, or unable to eat. But that is not what the evidence showed. The key clue came from dopamine research. In the 1950s and 1960s, Swedish scientist Arvid Carlsson showed that dopamine was not just a minor brain chemical, but it was essential for the brain's control of movement. His work later earned him the Nobel Prize in Psychology in the year 2000. Then in the early 1970s, neuroscientist Urban Ergenschmidt tested what happened when dopamine pathways were severely damaged in rats. The rats were awake, they could still see, smell, chew and swallow, but they stopped initiating movement. Food could be placed directly in front of them, and if they had to move towards it, they often wouldn't. Not because the hunger was gone, not because they were physically incapable, but because the brain signal that normally pushes an animal to act has been disturbed. In 1971, Urban tested what would happen if dopamine pathways in a rat's brain were severely damaged. He used a chemical called 6-hydroxydopamine. It selectively damaged dopamine producing nerve pathways. The result was not sleep. The rats are awake, they could still see, they could still smell, they could still chew and swallow, but they became almost completely inactive. They stopped exploring, they stopped moving towards food and water. And this is the part that shocked researchers. Food could be placed directly in front of them, but if they had to move even an inch towards it, they often would not. Without help, some animals stop eating and drinking enough to survive. Not because they've forgotten how, not because they were unable to eat, but because the dopamine system that normally helps initiate behavior has been disrupted. The experiment revealed something important. Dopamine was not simply making the rats feel pleasure, it was helping them initiate behavior. It was helping turn a need into action. And that matters because dopamine does something similar in addiction. For a long time, people called dopamine the pleasure chemical, but scientists now separate two different things, liking and wanting. Liking is enjoyment, wanting is the drive to get something. They usually work together. You enjoy food, so you want more of it, but they can come apart. Research by Kent Berridge showed that a person can strongly want something, even when they no longer enjoy it. That is one of the most disturbing parts of addiction. The pleasure can fade, but the craving can keep getting stronger. A drug, a smell, a place, or even a certain time of day can become a trigger. Before the substance is even taken, the brain starts preparing to chase it. Not because it feels good in that moment, but because the brain has learned that it matters. Dopamine doesn't just react to rewards, it learns to predict them. A place, a smell, a time of day. These things can start triggering the same system before anything even happens. This is why addiction can feel impossible to escape. You are not only resisting a substance, you are resisting a brain that has learned what to chase. And that brings us back to the rats. They did not lose hunger, they did not lose the ability to eat, they lost the drive to act. Addiction can change what the brain treats as important, but the brain can learn again, slowly, one experience at a time.